Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Insurgent by Veronica Roth. This is the second book in the Divergent trilogy that she wrote. The first book's Divergent, the second book's Insurgent, the third book is Allegiant. And I am not usually a big YA reader. I've read some YA here and there. It's just not the genre I gravitate towards. But I made a goal that in 2024 I'd read a lot more YA, expand into that genre more. And so I decided to start off with the Divergent trilogy. And I was supposed to just read one book a month. That was my for YA. That was my plan. And I actually got a little bit of ahead in January. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I said, you know what? I really liked the first book, so I really want to continue on. So I read the first book, and I loved it. I gave it, I think, like a 7.5 out of 10, like really entertaining. But I thought book 2 was significantly better. I thought book 2 was a superb step up. Book 1, the biggest problem I had with it, and I talk about this in my full review for book 1, just look up Divergent review, Jonathan Cohn, you'll find it. My biggest problem with the first book was that the plot felt like it didn't really kick in until the last 100 pages. This book, the entire book, feels like plot. There's a lot of character growth moments. There's a little bit of world building. There's some, romance and stuff in here. But there's so much plot happening in this book, and it's just moving it along in a much more breakneck pace, I think, than the first book did, except for the last 100 pages of the first book. So because of that, I think it's a much better book overall. I was glued all the way through. I was able to read this in like 2 days' time, basically, because I was just, so into the story. And I really like a lot of the character motivations, the character decisions, the reveals. There is a reveal that a certain character's mom is still alive. That was a big deal. I loved that. There was also the reveal of why certain characters have been acting the way that they have. You see our Triss, the main character, have to make some decisions in this book. You see Four have to make some decisions. You see the Dauntless group. You see a little bit of the faction list, which was interesting. And of course, you see more of the other 5 groups. The groups that didn't get a lot of attention in the first book. The first book is really about abnegation at the beginning and end, and then Dauntless throughout. And Erudite is, it is a little bit in there, but Erudite's, less important. And Erudite's in here too, but really you get a lot of amity at the beginning of the book and a lot of candor throughout the book. And it was nice to get to see what those two groups were like, because those were the ones I knew least about. I think all readers knew the least about them. And I thought that they were both very interesting to read, and they were very clearly different than the others. I still think amity and abnegation are a little bit too similar in a few ways. However, I still think that candor was really well realized. The candor sequences in this book were just great. And then I really liked seeing a little bit more about Erudite and a little bit more about Dauntless. I thought were good. The ending of the book, when I say the ending, I mean the last 2 pages, has a big twist that's supposed to really be important. And I'm actually kind of confused by the twist at the end. So I guess I really need to read book 3. I mean, it propels me forward, and I really want to find out in book 3. But when I got there, I was like, really? That's the twist? I wasn't expecting that exactly. So I'm really fascinated by this. Now, it kind of makes sense. And to be honest, that twist, one of the logical problems in a lot of YA dystopians is how did the world, usually they're set in America, for instance, how did the world let Panem turn into Panem in the Hunger Games? That's a big question that a lot of people have for the Hunger Games that's never really explained. And the twist here actually kind of goes into that idea a little bit, and I was like, you know what, that's an interesting idea. So I'm curious about that. Now, I read this one in hardcover, which is really nice. I like this hardcover. Not only was it nice to read, it also has that nice bookmark in it, but it also has some short stories. I haven't read them yet. I'm going to read the short stories after I'm done with them, probably. That might be on part of my short story reviews for the channel. Interesting. I might do that. And then apparently there is a 4th book, which is the short story collection, the 4 collection. So let me know if I should read that, if that's worth reading, if you're a fan of this series. But regardless, I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoy the sappy romance in this book. I could see some people being offended by it, And I could see a discussion to be had about whether or not the author went too far in the description of the romance for YA audiences. Because she gets, in what is shown on page, she gets really up to the line of appropriateness, and she never goes past the line, in my opinion, but she gets really close to the line. And also, the book never explicitly states that characters were doing explicit things. I don't know how to go, I don't want to, YouTube censors. The book never says that the characters go all the way, even though I think that based off the text of the book, we're meant to infer that they haven't. So I at least appreciate that. But I could see a lot of parents who have children reading this, particularly if they're younger, like 12 or 13, because I've seen 12 and 13-year-olds reading this series. I could see them being a little bit concerned about it. Certainly, I think a high schooler could handle this, no problem. But again, if you're a parent, my answer is always check the book out first. And this series reads so fast. Some books I feel like I recommend parents, and I'm like, this will be ponderous for the parent to read. I can't imagine that this would be ponderous for anyone. I think this reads, the first book was literally a beach read. I read about 80% of the first book on a beach over the course of 2 days. And this book I read at home in 2 days. So I don't think that this is difficult by any means. So I definitely recommend this if you're looking for a series for your child, perhaps looking at the Divergent series. But I really like this book. I'm really excited for book 3. If book 3 sticks the landing like book 2, then this will for sure be in my top YA series. If the book 3 doesn't stick the landing, it'll actually probably be closer to where Hunger Games is, because Hunger Games, I gave book 1 a similar rating and book about a 7.5, and Hunger Games I also gave book 2 a similar rating of about a 9. I gave this one a 9, by the way. And so book 3 for the Hunger Games I did not like at all. I gave it like a 4. So if this is better than that, then it gets higher than the Hunger Games for me. So I really hope it is. So if you've read Insurgent and you enjoyed it, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. But until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.